Alright, welcome back. So after this very easy way to show and hide elements using the, show and hide functions, it's now time to go ahead and look at another real animation. So in this lecture, we're going to talk about another way to make elements appear or disappear, very similar to the fade in, fade out, and fade toggle functions, but with a different animation. So let's go ahead and dive right in. So at the moment we still have our toggle function called here. So I'm going to remove that and instead call a function which is called slideUp. And slideUp will actually make an element disappear. And again, we have the same parameters as with, fade out, for example. So we're going to pass in the duration. I'm going to set that to 2 seconds. And then that's all you need to do. So very similar to fade out and fade in. You just have to remember that slideUp will make an element disappear, and you may already guess that slideDown will be the opposite animation. So that's going to make the element appear again. But for now, I want to use slideUp to make the blue box disappear. So when I go into the browser now and let me refresh this, you can see it sliding up until it's completely disappeared. And also when we go ahead and open up the developer console again, you can also see that the display property will again be set to none in this case. Alright, so I think it's time for another quick mini challenge again. So I want you to, after sliding up the blue box, I want you to make it appear again. And I've already given it away what the other animation is called. So it's called slideDown to make the blue box appear again. Now, if you still have your index.html set up from the previous lecture, you will have both blue boxes appear again after the visible blue box has been hidden. That's okay. If you don't want that for now, you can also get rid of the second blue box, but we're going to use that again in a second. So I recommend you just ignore that and you're just going to have both of them sliding down. So I'm now going to pause for a few seconds so that you can have a minute to solve the mini challenge. Alright, so what we're going to do is we're going to call the slideDown function, and let's again use 2 seconds, that's okay. And we're going to use the same selector for all blue boxes again. So when we go ahead and check that out in the browser, you're going to see that the first blue box will disappear. And then it's going to appear again. Now for the second blue box, there's no animation going on beforehand. So for that element's animation queue, the slide down animation can be executed right away because there's no other animation going on. But for our first blue box here, the first animation will have to finish, so the slide up, before it can actually slide down again. So you can see here that that's what it does. So again, the difference between these two boxes is that the first blue box already has an animation going on. So it's going to queue the slide down animation. The second one we call on that for when the first animation has finished. But for our second blue box, it doesn't actually perform any slide up animation because it's already not displayed. So it can begin the slide down animation straight away. Alright, so this kind of animation is also useful when you have a user clicking on a read more or a plus button, where you can then slide in the paragraph you want to show, for example, or the div element which contains the text or the content you want to show. Or as I've showed you in the introductory lecture, you may also expand a form when the user clicks on, something like expand or register or something like this. Alright, so I'm going to give you another quick mini challenge right away, which is to hide all the paragraph elements on the page, which are at the moment only 2, and then slide them down. So they're going to be hidden first by jQuery. You don't need to change any HTML code. And right after that, they're going to be slided down to be shown. So I will give you a minute to do that, and then I will go on. Alright, so what we're going to do is, for the first time, we're really going to use a tag selector where we're just going to select all p tags. And then first of all, we want to hide all of the paragraphs. And then again, we want to select all of the paragraphs and call slide down, let's say over 1 second. So let's go ahead and save this and then switch back over to our browser. Now we still have our box animations, but let's look at the paragraphs down here. So there are 2 of them. When I refresh, they're first hidden and then they slide down and become visible again. So this is also the kind of animation you may have when you say show more or read more or expand paragraph. Okay, so one more function to show you, and maybe you can already guess what it is. It's a very convenient function and it's called slideToggle. So again, it's gonna slide up the element if it's currently shown, and it's gonna slide down the element if it's currently hidden. So in this case, when we call that on the blue box, again, we're gonna have one of the boxes appear and one of them disappear, because the first box is shown when loading the page and the second box is not shown. So let's save this, go to the browser, and we can see that our first blue box disappears because it's shown at the beginning, and our second box appears and slides down because it was hidden before. Alright, great. So I think you can already see how this is kind of structured in jQuery. So you always have your animation which lets an element appear, you have an animation that lets an element disappear, and then you also always have this toggle function for just showing and hiding. It's just called toggle. Then you have fade toggle and you have slide toggle, which is going to take care of you for deciding whether to show or hide the element. Alright, so I encourage you to try this out for yourself a bit more and use the slide toggle, slide up, slide down, fade in, fade out, and so on, and get used to them. Also maybe play around again with fade in and fade out versus fade to and see how that works for you. And then you're already going to be confident in using these basic animations with jQuery, which is great. I think it's really easy to get started. And I told you that's one of the major advantages of jQuery. So you can get up to speed and create some animations like these pretty easily and pretty fast. And I really hope you're having fun so far with the animations. In the following lectures, we're going to look at other animations, which not only make elements appear or disappear, but we can also move them around, and you're going to learn how to create custom animations, which is the most powerful way to create animations, because you're free to animate whatever you want with some restrictions. So you can create various different animations, and it's still rather simple with jQuery. Now I hope you're excited to see that, so let's move right on to the next lecture.